Got a friend in Santiago, got a friend in Berlin, got a friend 100 miles away, who's as close as my hand. Distance couldn't keep us apart because we're one man with one heart.
Welcome all. This is our July the 4th edition of The Inner Stream. It is that long weekend in North America where two countries celebrate their founding. And though their founding was different in a sense, there were different qualities to the way in which these two countries came into being as nations. At this point in time, there's a shared sense of things. And actually, there's a shared sense of things in terms of what the world is thinking about, what the world wants, and what it needs. The founding of a nation is really about great and lofty goals. It's about going someplace together with a whole group of people. It's in the case of the United States, it's under the banner of one nation under God, or the home of the brave and the land of the free. In terms of what we learn from the Kabbalistic sages, these things, they really have their source, their roots in the upper world. That is, it's in actually laws of nature that we have these feelings, and that we develop along these lines, and that we change the things that we want, and they become higher and higher types of desires. What I mean is that the word nation itself, according to the wisdom of Kabbalah, means a desire. A nation is a desire. A land it's a type of a desire. Now, the idea of the people that were enslaved, that didn't have religious freedom in Europe, that moved to North America, they did it in order to reach certain things that they felt that mankind had a right to reach, that we had an inalienable right for freedom, to have liberty and the pursuit of happiness. And the idea of the pursuit of happiness was understood at the time when the foundation of the physical countries in North America were laid, that this really meant that a person should be free to pursue how they understood the upper force, the Creator. That they should be able to serve their God, so to speak, and that constituted happiness. Now, things have changed tremendously over the last few hundred years. And now this concept of United States actually takes on a more and more root level, closer to its meaning in reality, which is that in order to achieve these things, this liberty and happiness, that is what it is that the law of nature has implanted in the whole system, and what it really wants to raise us to, that in order to reach this, it's true, we must reach a united inner state. We must find connections with each other, not in the things that we're doing externally, which we can already see in our pursuit of light, and that they don't really bring us those things. The external acts, unifying through wars and doing external good deeds, really as noble as they may have seemed and as correct as they really were formally, several hundred years ago, we and the whole world, all of humanity, has evolved to a place far beyond that now. And that if we are really going to reach that light, which is a kind of peace in the world, liberty, true liberty, and happiness, we are going to have to feel good about our connection with each other. And the only place where true United States make any difference and can actually bring us to this thing, which in a sense, beyond more than a sense, in reality is the fulfillment of this sort of initial desire. We have to change this land, this desire that we have, from a desire to dominate and to be the greatest, to a desire to be the most giving, the most connected, the most united that can be. And now our idea of freedom has to include everybody, and it has to come from a central point within us. We need to re-examine and redefine what freedom is.
This time my mind is blind to what it finds in LA or the New York Times. One of my favorite lines says, if you be mine, things will be fine. Instead they're drawing sand lines, another year, another design. Instead they're drawing sand lines, another year, another design. Here I go, I'm about to break free. Don't help me out, I'm about to break free. Writing lyrical rhymes amidst the neon signs. Yo, I'm serious and these are changing times. I got strong men and weak men, I'm the master of war. I got Westman and Eastman, cross-Atlantic shore. Add 6 more to explore. There make 7 seats for the sailor to sail. There are 7 notes on the musical scale. There are 7 days in which to be one. 7 continents to make love on. Teacher talked about a parallel universe. Student is inspired to compose a rhyme and verse. I'm gonna continue to expel more myths. We've been waiting lifetimes and lifetimes for this. Sometimes it's kinder to be cruel than weak. Sometimes it's kinder to be cruel than weak. This time my mind is blind to what it finds in LA or the New York Times. When my favorite line says, if you be mine, things will be fine. Instead they're drawing sand lines, another year, another design. Instead they're drawing sand lines, another year, another design. If you be mine, things be fine. Yeah, if you be mine, things be fine. If you be mine, things be fine. Things be fine.
If you'll be mine, things will be fine. If we're connected, if we can be as one body and as one heart, then from that state we can receive help. We can go to that place that we have longed to go. That desire that we call a nation will be turned around and become something else. But that doesn't just happen. It's work. That's why nations have goals. So this primary desire that we have, that comes from the whole system that develops us, makes us look for this freedom. But it doesn't just happen. There are things that we are called to do. We are forced to be happy. Now, that force means that there is something developing us, and that we have to overcome old ways of seeing, old definitions, and old ways of using all of these wonderful gifts that we're given in this human experience. We have to use it for a different reason, or we can't possibly reach peace. Let's first look at our current definitions of peace. Of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace. Jimi Hendrix. Now, we've been saying these kinds of things throughout the 20th century. And in the middle part of the 20th century, the last century, certain things began to be revealed to us, but we haven't used any of these things. It's very nice to make these expressions, but it doesn't get us anywhere. Anybody can say that. And I don't mean that this doesn't come from the bottom of our hearts when we wish for this. But we know that over the past 2,000 years and over the past centuries and the century in which we've all been very cool in saying these kinds of things, we have achieved absolutely nothing of the kind. But the Kabbalists tell us, and the Learning Center students are about to, the ones who have gone through the fundamentals course, are just about to begin studying the actual method of how we accomplish this connection to each other. They're about to, you guys are about to study the articles of Rabash, a great Kabbalist, the teacher who is the teacher of B'nai Baruch, for which this television station and the Kabbalahinfo and all of these tools that we use to express these things, this comes from this organization that promotes the access for humanity to this method. Now, you are about to learn this method. What is the method? The method is according to something that is tucked into the Bible, but the Bible is about the most misunderstood and misused book that exists. It's in the story of the children of Israel, that is as they become a nation, they only become this new desire, this nation, as they approach Mount Sinai, which is actually, Sinai means hatred, that they must climb this mountain of hatred. And there's a condition that before it's possible to receive this light, which is called the Torah, that is, to receive this ability to really connect, and in which the law of nature, this force that connects everything in peace and in liberty, before that can happen, there is a condition of uniting and guarantee with each other, for each other. Not for their physical well-being, but for their ability to actually reach this state that each one unites in an inner state, and this connection, this bond, this guarantee, which in Hebrew is called arvut, this is the United States, the United Inner States. Now there's a method of actually achieving that, and it's revealed to us now since 1995. The way to do it is that there must first be a small group of people who actually accomplish this in their hearts and with each other. And it's a game. It's done by means of gameplay. That is, but it's real, because this is the way that nature develops us and has always developed us. It develops every creature in this way. It certainly develops children this way. You know, I can remember in my neighborhood, there were about 7 of us who used to regularly get together and play in the laneways, and we would start off our game by saying, okay, let's pretend that we're knights, and there's this castle over there, and we have to get around. There's some kind of a dragon over there, but the castle is like really tall. It's like 1,000 feet tall, and we have to get past the dragon and up to the castle. And so the agreement is made with all the kids, and then what happens is you start to play the game. Now, all of the kids involved in this, they without saying so much, they begin to experience this similar state with each other. The particular goal here is to get past the dragon and get into the castle or whatever. When you play the game with your friend, you see that he is experiencing all of these things within himself too. He sees the castle, can feel the heat of the dragon, and when you see your friend playing the game in that way, then you're inspired by that. It becomes more and more real, more and more shared experience, and it doesn't depend for the kids on what they see with their eyes, what's there in front of them physically. What matters is that inside of them there is something happening that's like a simulator, like a flight simulator. They begin to have the same inner experiences based on this shared desire to play this game together as they would if there were really a castle there. Now, in the method by which we actually achieve this unity and peace, it goes exactly that way. There has to be one single goal involved in it, and this is what the articles of Rabash speak about. What is it that single goal must be? And he says that it is we agree to create a society that is a small group of people whose only purpose is to escape self-love. That is to escape your constant sense of everything must be physical and it must be only for my well-being. And the game that is played with each other is that is the single desire, nation, that everybody in the game plays. And it becomes more and more real. And I'm speaking about it in a very simple way here. It's profound. It's the way that nature works, and it's how that whole system really works on us. What does he say here? Here's a quote from The Importance of the Association. This is one of the articles that you will be studying. He says, what sort of an attitude should a person have towards their friend in this game? He says that the great cannot be inspired by the words of the small. Only the small are inspired by the criticism of the great, even criticism, right, of the great. So, in order to play this game, each person must honor his fellow associates as though they were the sages of the generation. Then the surrounding society will affect him as though it were a vast assemblage, because quality outweighs quantity. This is the game that has given birth to this channel and to the many things that people all over the world are doing right now, who are just a group of friends who want to play this game and want to reach this first. So it goes like this. A small group of people work together in a real way, focused only on a single desire. And from that, they actually learn how to love their friend as themselves. They see this as a whole, united, single being. Once that happens, it spreads to the rest of the world. So the greatest nation in the world is simply that desire that unites the world from our hearts. And I don't think there could be any game more exciting, more worthwhile, cooler than that game of finding your home at its deepest level, discovering that you have friends around you who love you and care about your reaching the goal, and that you're completely surrounded and protected, that they have your back, and that you're past this thing of being forced to enjoy. You actually enter this thing that we have been trying to reach for centuries. We actually reach that united state. Yes, you actually do. What is that? What are they going to do in that picture? I hope nothing naughty. That's not targeting, is it? Okay, let's stop that. There we go. So we've got a few text questions. What do we got here? We have a question from, I don't know if this is a student or this is somebody who's just watching the channel. And by the way, if you're watching us now, sign up, log in, and then you can ask a question or you can send us a video. You can be part of the broadcast, so do it, because this is about the connection. This is a question from Aza from Australia. And I don't know if Aza is a woman's name or a man's name. It says, I find myself constantly battling with my head, my loop, my thought, so to speak. It's strange that I can somehow feel that point in the heart, yet the thoughts and the ego seem to be getting stronger. Is this a natural process, or am I going mad? Well, it's a natural process, and in terms of your old way of being, you could say, it's mad, because it's somewhat opposite. Yeah, it is a normal thing that when you start moving towards that single desire, in order to find a similarity of form with the Creator, which simply means that law of nature, that is unconditional love that cares for everything that is good to the good and bad, and only does that. Once you start moving along that line, in order for you to be able to feel anything and discern anything, you get pushed back by that force, so that you will not be in a mode of reception. Because if things just went well and they went into you started to enjoy all this for yourself, you would be locked into your will to receive. You would never be able to flip it over and reach the other quality, the other use of your will to receive, which is to do it not for yourself, but to do it for the well-being of the whole. Because that's the way that the upper force works. So it's completely natural. And at the same time, a person really cannot do that on their own. You can feel that point in your heart. You can begin the process. You can become very inspired and come quite a ways from where you started out at the beginning of that awakening. But in order to proceed further, you need the power of many. a person needs to play this game, because what eventually happens is it dawns on a person clearly that they can only actually reach this and escape themselves if their concern is broad, if it is a collective concern in the heart. And then it's that arvut, that bond, that guarantee that is really, it's a spiritual thing. I mean, it's like a field. It is a field. The group and that force is really, it's not just a society. It looks that way here, but it is a force. It is actually the law by which everything above the physical operates. This is, and the game that we play helps us to be more and more similar to the law that actually governs nature. That you can't do without others, because you can't see the law operating. You can't feel it at all. So the pushback and the strength that you need, these things go together. There are numerous pieces. It's not simply that a person wakes up. There's a process like there is in every other thing in nature. And let's see, we have another question here. This is a friend, Arben Beni Hajra from Kosovo. See, there are people from all over the world here. This is really very, very beautiful to see this happening. And his question is, what is love in Kabbalah? Love is the resolution of opposites. It is notwithstanding the complete opposite, that there is still a bonding. Love is a resolution of, you could say, of a contradiction by a third, what's called a middle line, by being able to make the connection between these things within a person's own intention. That love includes everything, and it covers a multitude of sins. In other words, none of these things go away. The contradiction doesn't go away. The so-called pains, the joys, the physical, the things we connect and think of as physical, they don't go away, but we don't operate in them. We operate over them in the place that manages and sustains and develops all of that. That's love. And it's not just the emotive, the emotional feeling of the heart, but it's reaching a level in which, instead of being concerned about what feels good or what doesn't feel good, we are concerned only with what is true or what is not true. And the person develops what's called a screen, that is the ability, with the help of the group, and actually it's something that's done by the upper force itself. When a person makes this effort in the group to find this middle point, always, and that middle point has got to do with the uniting. When that happens, then that force of nature lifts a person to that place where they actually only desire to bestow, moves them to a new land. Even though their physical feet are planted in the same physical land, their desire is a completely other one. We have a dear friend that is going to join us. We're going to talk to Regan Shillstone. Let's see if I can make that connection here. If I can see her. Yes. Am I calling? No, I'm just looking at myself in this little image down here. No. Video call. Regan, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi, Tony.
Hi, how you doing?
Doing very well.
Great to see you.
Great celebrations here.
Yeah, so are you celebrating 4th of July there?
That's right. got all kinds of beautiful fireworks and everything going off.
You're in the middle of Middle America, right? You're right in the heart of the heart.
That's right. Looking forward to other celebrations to come, more important celebrations.
Yeah.
That you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, we're about to reach all of that. I want to tell the friends a little bit about you. Regan is she's done so many things in this game with us. She's really a good game player. I feel like you're like one of the kids in the alley. Okay, we're gonna storm the castle, Regan. So watch out for the dragon. Regan was the head. I think your first job in bringing all of the this information to the world was as the head writer of Kabbalah Today newspaper. Is that correct?
Actually, I started before that
Yeah.
with Susan doing editing for Rav's lessons, and that was a fabulous way to start because of the connection that it gives you with the texts and with Rav's words.
Well, why don't you?
After that, it's worked with the Kabbalah Today writing.
Yeah. So the job that you were doing at that point was you were taking. Tell us what that is. What editing Rav's lessons is.
Basically, it takes the recorded lessons, and there's one team that takes the video and transcribes word for word what Rav says, and then it gets translated into English, but it's very, very rough in the translation. So at that point, it gets sent out to a variety of people, and Susan, your wife, is the head of that team, to then clean up the English, make it flow a little bit better, while still retaining the intent and the uniqueness of Rav's style.
Well, what is that like? What is the experience of working with the Kabbalistic sources and the explanations that Dr. Lightman gives? What's that like?
It helped me connect some of these concepts at a much, much deeper level. Because you're reading the words, you have time to dwell over it, let it sink in. You're working to try and make it clear to others without actually changing any of the meaning, which means you really have to make the effort to try to get inside of what is being said. And that was, I still miss that. I still wish that I had more time to connect with the material at that level, although I very much enjoy and value the other work that I'm doing today. But it's something I highly recommend if people are looking for a place to start. Anything where you're working with the texts and with what Rav has been saying about it will really give you a much bigger jump forward than just listening to the lessons by themselves.
You know, it's interesting because obviously the text must become very internalized in you, because the work that you've done since then, which is, aside from the fact that you're sort of other than the manager, you're like the chief administrator of stuff that goes on in the Learning Center. You kind of coordinate all those things, but you also have worked for a couple of years as a forum moderator, answering questions of students on different levels. So it must really be in you. What is the process that you go through when you look at a question from a student? What do you have to do in order to find some kind of way of connecting them with what they're really asking?
Well, I guess first of all, I'll say I had a couple of outstanding teachers, because when I first started working as a moderator on the forum, when I would get a question, the very first thing I would do would be look back on old questions at how you answered them, how Mike Kellogg answered them.
Hey, you know, if you were in university, you'd get charged with plagiarism. You'd get kicked out.
So it really helped to learn from people who have been doing this a while. And since then, as I've grown a bit more with it, first thing is I try and understand what is the person really asking. And a lot of times the question that comes out that they write is not really the question that they have. That's one thing, is trying to figure out, because we couch questions in all kinds of layers of ego and personal opinion.
Yes, and it's hard to ask a question about a thing that you actually don't know anything about and you can barely feel.
It really is. So part of what we do is try and help people learn how to ask questions. And especially at the beginning, there's a lot of trying to work to separate out all that ego stuff to get to the real question.
Well, you've seen a lot happen in the development of the Learning Center and of the game that all of the friends are playing. It started off as a kind of an occasional game, and now it's a serious worldwide movement of I don't know how many, maybe 100,000 more people involved in some way. And there are many things that we're doing now that are aspects of this game, and there's something coming up now soon in a couple of weeks, which is the virtual mega congress. Give us your take on that. Why is that important?
When we're sitting at a computer screen, and the first year and almost 2 years of my study, I was strictly a virtual student, so I understand how that feels, to just have your computer screen and that's it. And you can progress a lot with that. But when you actually get together with other people that have the same drive, the same goal, it brings you to an entirely new level of understanding. It's no longer strictly knowledge. There's a feeling that's behind it. You feel that sense of connection. You feel what it means to care for the others. And when you go home, you take that feeling with you. And it definitely comes and goes. We forget about it. We remember it on occasions. But it's always there, and it gives us the strength to continue forward until that next opportunity when we can get together. Eventually, we won't need that physical reminder. But right now, we're still into corporeal, and we need that to help augment those times when we really do feel like we're isolated and just by ourselves.
Yeah, the thing is that everything that we're doing now really is so that we can reach that as a permanent state, at least that first level of a completely new desire and a new state, a new way of living for us and for all of humanity. And these exercises that we're doing, they're only happening. They bug us because they're opposite to us. We think another sort of exercise where I have to think about others and connect with others. The more we do that, this is how we feel before, but when we get into it, the payoff is beautiful, and eventually that payoff will be permanent. That's what the Kabbalists tell us about this method, and I want to thank you very much for joining us. It's really nice to see you in your home again. Thanks a lot, Regan.
Thank you, Tony. L'chaim.
L'chaim. Yeah. We are heading towards the morning lesson. Rav has something to say here about what we were talking about with how we play this game and how children develop and how we use this. And let's listen to that and as we head towards the morning lesson.
Dan from the Tel Aviv group is asking whether the environment that we can build for children actually a kind of a laboratory, and if this will be their only environment, they might not have the tools to cope with the external world. A child that grows and is in an environment that sets a good example for him, and he tries to refer nicely towards the environment, he doesn't become weaker with respect to others, but suddenly he reveals that there are many good forces that are working and helping him, and many good forces, and no evil forces are coming upon him. Always instinctively, we're guarding the child and telling him not to fight with others. If there's a problem, just leave him alone. and be courteous with others, because we understand that a nice attitude towards the environment, it gives you greater security and tranquility. Better than if you start protecting yourself, and we see that even in a particular person and among countries, it doesn't help. The power of the fist eventually loses, doesn't gain or earn anything. This is how the world is built, and you can't change nature. And if momentarily it seems to you, look what a hero he is or something, later you see that eventually this hero is unsuccessful, both man and society and a whole country, and that's how it is. Thus, the only success is an equivalence of form with the Creator. That's the key for success. We have to teach man to be as close as possible to the Creator, and then he'll succeed for sure. Impossible that he won't.
We have to enter a lesson with the deepest expectation, with a deficiency specifically for this love, this unity, this connection, and the freedom that brings, as a real thing, as a true hunger. I want to read you some lyrics from a song of the group from Israel, part of our friends who play this game with us. They're the Last Generation band. The skies will open, the tears that you cried in the lost battles, all the truth that you wanted in the endless nights, the people that you've forgotten, the connections in your heart that broke. You may not have heard it yet, that soon they will all become connected. Just a little more, just one more moment, just a little more. Any moment now, the skies will open. Just a little more, any moment now, just a bit more, any moment now, the skies will open. See you in the lesson. Thank you for being with us.
All the conducts of creation, in its every corner, inlet, and outlet, are completely prearranged for the purpose of nurturing the human species from its midst, to improve its qualities until it can sense godliness as one feels one's friend.